Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for Swing. I don't know if I've given you feedback before. Alright, here's the usual spiel, right? You might know me as Shazam on the Discords, or what do I put my name as in the Paul Discord? Don't Step Paul in Tekken 8. Yeah! Dude, the trailer is so hype. Maybe that's why I have energy for this. Anyway, hey man. I am by no means a Tekken professional. I am just someone who plays a lot of Tekken, plays a lot of Paul, fights a lot of Paul, watches a lot of Paul, watches a lot of Tekken, talks a lot about Tekken, and I just really like the game, and I like nerding out about the game, right? I am not saying the following advice that I'm about to give you is God's gospel to Tekken players, right? I'm not saying you're suddenly going to take Tekken World Tour. All I'm saying is this: based on my experiences playing, fighting, talking, theorizing about the game, here are some aspects of your gameplay that I noticed could use improvement, right? At the end of the day, it is just food for thought, right? I'm not here to give you, the 100 secret training techniques that will incredibly elevate your game. I'm just trying to point out some areas that you can look at your gameplay and go, okay, yeah, maybe I can try this, or yeah, I should do this, or I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll think about it, right? At the end of the day, it's just my ramblings on the game, on your play, and just trying to provide some insight and some sort of here's my perspective on it. Let me know what you think, right? If it helps, I'm happy. All right, so let's get right into it. The two rounds that I really want to focus on are this one and the following round, where you win both, but I feel like there are some gaps in the gameplay that could be improved upon, right? So right here, I think optimizing the punish here is very critical, right? Paul 1-2 as a punish when he can get down 1+2, when he can get back 1+2, is just not worth it, right? You're looking at like 20-ish damage versus 30 with ballerina spin or 30 with knockdown, right? It's a world of difference, and you need to hammer that home because punishment is one of the cornerstones, like one of the foundations of Paul's gameplay, right? Think about it. What is your goal as Paul? You're trying to condition your opponent and you're trying to elicit specific responses, right? For Kazuya, you don't want him to throw out a lot of moves. You don't want him to like start challenging on your approach, right? You want to be able to pressure him, and you don't want him to press his annoying panic tool with like electric or down forward 2. And down forward 2 especially, right? If he's going to keep pressing it, every situation, every instance of you punishing down forward 2 with 1-2, you're losing out on 10 damage, and that starts adding up, right? If he does 3 down forward 2s in a game, and even if you punish all of them, which is still good, right? Not trying to take that away from you, but you punish all of them with 1-2 as opposed to down 1+2 or back 1-2, right? Now, all of a sudden, over the course of the game, you've lost out on 30 damage, right? Which is a lot, right? That's at least a poke, that's another punish. So, try to optimize punishes, especially in matchups like this, where if he's pressing down forward 2, you should be killing him for it, right? And especially because down forward 2, if you punish with back 1-2, or if you punish with down 1+2, whichever, both offer really good situations, right? You either get the Oki from down 1+2, or you get a heavy frame advantage, which allows you to get an extra poke in and chip in, right? After back 1-2. Yeah, I mean, long-winded way of saying, hey, optimize your punishes, but I'm trying to explain my thought process, and hopefully some of this makes sense, right? Sorry, I'm gonna ramble on for like 10 more seconds. The idea is that, like, as Paul, right, you're not getting a lot of opportunities. You're not this crazy frame trap monster. You're not really just going like skedaddle, skadoodle, I control the neutral with insert button here. You're not throwing shit from across the screen and then forcing your opponent into some crazy unfavorable mix-up. You're just kind of trying to outplay them in Tekken, right? Granted, you have a lot stronger tools than Kazuya in certain areas, right? But again, every opportunity, every opening Paul gets, especially the higher up you go, you have to make it count, right? I'm probably projecting a lot just because, like, I get annoyed when I don't punish properly, if I can, within reason, right? I'm not saying you have to suddenly, like, perfectly launch every punish. It's just one of those, the easy mode punishes that's just an easy step up. It's ideal. So let's talk about this situation here, right? You do course will go back to, but the thing about that, the thing I'm wondering is like, why did you think that would work? Was it a whiff punish? Was it a call out, like, oh, he's gonna press buttons after he whiffs his thing? Why did you think it, like, did you think he was going to duck, right? I know this is like at the end of a few sets, so I don't know what layer you guys are on, right? If you're just fighting for the first time, obviously there's a lot of layer 1 involved. What I'm seeing, I can take what the game is playing at surface value and just kind of go off of that. But if you guys have played a bunch of games by now, there's a lot of subtle adaptations you have ideally made. Both of you have ideally made because of each other's playstyles, and I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is the result of that, or if this is like a, you know what I'm trying to say? Basically, if I call out something as weird and you understand because, oh, well, that's because I played a bunch of games with this guy and that's the result of that, don't worry about it, right? And if it is not, right, if it is something genuinely weird, then yeah, heed the advice. But basically, I don't think you're using enough lows. I don't think you are really giving him enough reason to duck you as to start doing core circle back to in the neutral, right? You're not really using core circle back 4 that much. You're not really using core circle forward 3 that much. And I feel like in these situations where you get like a little whiff right here, I think it's because you backdashed a little bit and then you hesitated and then you just kind of threw that out there, right? I feel like with Paul, the more compact you get, the better off you'll be. Every button you press should have an explicit purpose to it, right? Especially, I think, you know, oh, congrats, by the way, you just entered Fujin. I remember seeing that. Congratulations, right? But as you fight stronger and stronger opponents, every single button that you don't really, like, have a plan behind, you're just kind of pressing and hoping for something to happen, or you're pressing it out of habit, is very likely going to come back and bite you in the ass, right? So any other Kazuya seeing that, even as he's mid sidestep, right, the muscle memory will be there and he'll just electric you, right? Speaking from experience here, right, I face against some Kazuyas that are just like insane with that. And not even Kazuyas, just any Mishima, right? Anybody with a strong whiff punish. Because think about it, he's sidestepping, but that doesn't mean anything. A sidestep can be canceled into any move. And you don't want to whiff Paul's buttons, right? Down forward 2, course will go back 4, kind of. Sure. But you don't want to be whiffing these buttons, so just be very careful with that. Either adjust your spacing or give them more reasons to duck. I mean, he did step in the wrong direction. Maybe it was a read, but I don't know. That's just my observation. Okay, so now you're using a little bit more lows. Now you're getting him to duck. But okay, so again, why stop, right? So instead of you know him starting to block low or anything, when you do, you know, a bunch of these lows, he's trying to like either challenge you, and now he's just backing off. What made you think that, you know, he's going to try and challenge you again and then crouch in your face? What was the thought process behind there? I feel like you haven't really reached the point yet where he's going to be ducking, right? If you don't see him like flash ducking, I think you just keep chipping away with lows. What is he going to do? React to core circle forward 3, right? If you have an obvious timing, right, maybe. But that's why you have core circle forward 4. That's why you have empty roll dash. That's why you have back 4. A lot of ways to mix up your timings. Good sidestep. Combos are solid. Balcony break. I assume that was supposed to be Death Fist. Alright, so this is also a little bit of what I'm talking about. Like, look at all this kind of, I don't know. What exactly do you hope to achieve here by kind of, are you, maybe you're trying to bait him into approaching you. That's fine. Alright, I feel like that was a call out on his low usage, which is fine. I'll talk about the wall. I have a lot of comments on the wall situation and the stage awareness thing, but we'll talk about that another time, or maybe later. Right now, I think that situation was fine. All right. This is what I'm. I don't know if it's because you are afraid of electric, right? Here's my opinion, right? So you got Kazuya knocked down, you run in, and now Kazuya's got low health and his back is kind of getting to the wall, right? I feel like instead of, so right here, dash forward, and then you back up, right? But then you back up and sidestep. I feel like there's some situations, there's just certain moments in these rounds, right, where you just have a lot of excessive movement. And obviously movement is ideal, but I feel like you have to remember that movement is a tool, right? What is the purpose of your response here? Why are you moving around, dashing around back and forth? Are you just doing it out of habit? What exactly is the explicit like purpose behind your movement? Because I feel like right here, if you instead just focus more on, don't back up, just maintain the position, stand still if you have to. What the fuck is he gonna do? Dash up and try to like challenge you in a hell sweep mix up, right? The moment you see him start wave dashing in front of you, you just stick out standing 3 or down 1 and you just clip him and then he dies, right? So you want to be like this. Kazuya's back is already to the wall, and you want to be the other wall in front of him. This wall of just pressure emanating from Paul. You ever watch JoJo's, like that fucking menacing rumble S-effects they do, right? You want to be slowly closing the distance between you and the Kazuya. Don't press any buttons. Just wait it out, and don't give up any space. Don't let him get himself away from the wall, right? Just slowly walk if you have to a little bit. Slowly move forward and close this distance between you and the Kazuya, so that way the closer he gets to the wall, the more pressure he's going to be under to lash out, right? And you especially just don't want to stick anything out because he has Rage Drive locked up and ready to go. But this happens a lot where you're in this very awkward neutral situation. You're super far away from the opponent, and I feel like you can just close the gap a little bit more and focus more on how do I pressure my opponent, right? A lot of times you don't have to press a button. You just move forward. They're going to move back naturally because they're afraid of you hitting them with like, course will go forward 3, course will go back 2, course will go back 4, or any of that shit, right? And they're natural. You'll just push them to the wall with just movement, right? But this weird like dance back and forth, I just don't see any purpose to it. And I feel like it happens a lot where you just kind of get caught up in like this weird movement dance when you could just be, I'm going to focus on maintaining a position that gives me a solid advantage, right? And then slowly closing that gap until you get a feel for when he's going to try and lash out, so then you can punish him. Right, like right here, if you just waited, and he's already look at this, right? He's already throwing out electrics, and you haven't done a single thing. You just used movement, right? Look at this pressure. And instead, if you just waited a little bit, see that, and then you did core circle forward 3, while he's in the recovery or while he's like approaching you, right? He would have died. But because you're still playing a little bit too defensive, you're backing off, right? I feel like in all the matches I've watched of this video, it's a lot of the foundation is rock solid, right? The foundation is rock solid. Absolutely no complaints about your playstyle in general. But where I do feel like you are not maximizing your potential as a player is knowing when to turn the corner. Or turn the corner is like a card game terminology. Maybe it's every universal terminology. But understanding when to go, oh, cool, I've conditioned my opponent enough, or oh, cool, I've held off on flooring it for a while. Time to go all gas, no brakes, right? And then just floor it, right? Start putting on the pressure. Because if you're too passive, your own timing, your rhythm, the flow of the game is going to be too predictable. The more time you give your opponent, the more time they have to make a comeback, right? There's a difference between playing like defensive and playing passive, right? Playing as if you want to, close out the game versus just trying to avoid losing. Am I making any sense? Obviously, I'm talking to myself here. I'm fucking losing it. But hopefully that kind of makes some sense, right? If you have any questions, just ask. But I feel like you can be a lot more assertive in your playstyle while maintaining this nice, compact, safe playstyle you got going on, and just kind of put on a little bit more pressure and close out rounds that much faster, right? Unless you have some expressive goal of like, I'm just going to run out the clock, which is viable, right? It's a good way. Like, if you want to go, I'm just going to time out my opponent every single fucking round, right? It's a good way to build up your defense, right? And it'll especially, I'm rambling, but we'll talk about that another time. But let's keep going. Unfortunate, you get clipped because you're too hesitant, and he's dead. Nice. Okay. I'll talk about this later. Nice. Nice. Yeah. This is weird, but it comes up enough where you want to have like some go-to move. If my opponent has a back turn splat on the wall, I just do down one. I just don't even bother trying to get a combo because the back turn situation is just so fucking whack. I don't like dealing with it. So I just do down one, experiment with what you see here. Lab those get up kick situations. That one's minus 12. I mean, obviously, because you did wall staying 3, it didn't work out. We have them pinned in the punishment section, but be very mindful of your get up kick situations. Or just challenge them, right? If you think they're going to get up kick, just fucking hammer them with shredders or something. This is fine. This is fine. You get clipped a lot, and I'm not sure why exactly that's happening. Like, what's the thought process there? What's going on? Is he just catching your side steps? This is what I'm talking about, right? A lot of excessive movement. If you just backdashed or just held back, right, that wouldn't have happened. I feel like you need to experiment more with like when you feel like a sidestep is useful and when you've conditioned the opponent enough to be like, he's sidestepping along, let me throw out a homing move, and then just kind of wait, right? You got to remember to just wait it out. You're doing a lot of sidesteps, and this will come up later when I talk about sidestep 3, but I don't feel like there's a lot of purpose behind them. You're just kind of moving, right? And I again, gotta use it as a tool. What is your expressive purpose, your expressive goal, explicit goal you're trying to achieve with this movement? Wall combo, nice, good block. All right, and so this is what I'm talking about. All right, dash up. Okay, where do you think the wall is for Kazuya right now? Right, like how far away do you think he is from the wall? In this position, you need to realign yourself a little bit more if you want, or just again have that stage awareness. This comes up a lot where I feel like your movement is solid. Again, playstyle is all solid, but you're losing out on some potential here. Here you start backing away, try to like get to a position you're comfortable with maybe. But if you instead just put on the pressure, right, the Kazuya is going to back himself into the wall that he can't even see, right? But you as Paul know that like his back is to the wall. I can fucking get him, right? And that's the thing I'm talking about, is that you have to remember the 3D environment around you. You can't just play like a safe play style. You have to remember in some situations you have to go, oh, right here, right? Sidestep. I know this Kazuya's back is to the wall. So I'm going to push forward and then force him and try to enclose him and trap him in this unfavorable situation, right? And the Kazuya, at the start, right now, he might not do anything, but as soon he kind of gets the sense and understanding of what you're doing and he realizes that, like, oh, my back is to the wall, that's when he'll start throwing out stuff, and that's when you'll have a lot more opportunities to do something, right? So just you gotta maximize the potential here. I feel like there's a lot of wasted potential in a lot of your stage positioning where you could be capitalizing on how the opponent has backed themselves into the wall and not really taking advantage of it. All right, but you give up space. It's the safe play, right? Like what you're doing is not wrong. But it's not technically incorrect, but there are better options available to you, in my opinion. Nice. Unfortunate. Okay, so this one might have been nerves, right? But you gotta remember, if you missed the demo, man. Remember, what are your ground hitting tools? Remember that. Grounded down 2, back 4, another core circle forward 3, right? There is no option the Kazuya this wake up situation is probably one of the best in the game for the aggressor, right? It's probably when back 1-2. Oh my god, season 1 back 1-2. really wish I used that move a lot more. When Season 1 back when 2 gave this wake up situation on a 12 frame punish, it was arguably one of the best, if not the best, 12 frame punishes in the game, right? Because this situation shuts down so many options for the opponent that they're just sitting there going like, oh, what the fuck do I do? All the get-up kicks are super slow from this position. They can back roll, but they don't have like toe kick to disrupt you. They don't have like some weird headbutt. The Kumas are weird. The bears in this situation is not great because they have like weird fucked up stances from here. Literally every other person in the cast can't do shit here, right? So go ham, right? Do a bunch of ground hitting stuff. Trust me, there is no button on God's green earth that they can press while they are in this situation that will touch you, right? They either get up into whatever the fuck you're going to throw at them, or they take it. So be very mindful of your ground hitting options for these types of situations. Demo Man, as funny as it would be, does not hit grounded. That's fine. That's fine. We'll keep going. So this is where you start using a lot of jabs, and I really like that from your. I think you get a punish there. You start using a lot more jabs here, and that's something I feel like that's very lacking in your gameplay is just jabs, right? Your big Tekken's really good. Your small Tekken is not bad, but it's not as good as it needs to be. Oh, actually, I was curious if you get to this point in the video. Yeah, you do a lot of grounded down 2 as opposed to down back 2, right? After the course of 2. Is that like a stylistic choice, right? Or is that do you not like the flip over, right? I guess it keeps them closer. It's not bad or anything. I think the damage is comparable, if not the same. I was just curious as to what your reasoning was. All right. Right here, so you start using a lot of jabs, which is cool, but what it's like, where were these the entire see, he would have died there, right? Extra 10 damage, and then boom, he's got a huge situation. Anyway, yeah, I already hopped on enough. Nice. So you start using a lot of jabs there, and then after this point it's just non-existent, right? This is why I'll talk about it a lot more in the end of video breakdown. But I feel like your game plan is solid, but your small Tekken needs a lot of work, right? It's not like it's bad, like it's not horrible, but I feel like that is a very lacking part in your gameplay that's gonna come up a lot. You need to understand how to build up offense and condition your opponent with small nice. God, this is so satisfying. I'm going to pause here because I have something else to talk about, but I need to watch that again. That shit was so hype. Yeah, fucking kill him. This shit's so satisfying. Anyway, but I feel like as you face stronger and stronger opponents, if you don't know how to utilize a one jab to the maximum potential, you're going to get hurt. We talk a lot about it in the Discord. I don't know, there's this like running idea that people are just like, oh, +1's not a lot. But it is. Right? The difference of being +1 versus -1 is an entirely different world, right? The difference of being +1 to neutral, I still think, is a vastly different world, right? Opponents are less likely to take their turn back. They're just not able to challenge you as much, right? And you need to like they form like a cornerstone of your offense. Utilizing Paul's jab in order to establish offense and start utilizing that a lot, like in terms of his offense, setting up all of his mids, setting up lows, setting up throws, everything can be started with a jab, and everything can, it's incredibly disruptive. You need to like try a character who doesn't have a standard jab and just feel the world of difference it can make. And then also try a character who doesn't have a generic down 4, right? You can try like Josie. I know Josie doesn't have one. Not having a generic down 4 so Paul can just do down back 4, it changes up how the game plays completely, right? But those tools are very subtle, and they're just bog standard Tekken tools, right? Even though, Paul's jab isn't anything to go crazy about, it's still very important, and you should really be incorporating that more into your neutral. Combo situation here. I think you could have killed, right? Wall splat, resplat with shredders, and then kill him. So I think you should definitely work on adding the shredders resplat into your gameplay. for me, it is one of the easiest 10 free points of damage to a wall combo I've ever done, right? And I'm very lazy, and I'm also, my execution's whatever. I just do super basic, super simple stuff. But I think the Shredder's resplat, any situation you can get it, is very powerful, very ideal. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Oh well, you jumped. I don't know what that was. Maybe that was a call out. But just cool. You get the resplat. This should have been the round, right? The moment he pressed that Death Fist, right? Or anything, if he pressed any get up kick, just whiff punish Death Fist. But you're still kind of in that like, oh, I just need back up, and it's very fast, right? And again, what you're doing is not bad, but you could have closed out the game faster. And I feel like that's, especially at the higher ranks up you go, that's going to come up a lot. These sort of small situations that are very innocuous, but then against like a stronger player, against just or you get unlucky, or anything can happen. The opponent's not dead when they should have been, and that's going to come up to haunt you as you just continue to climb the ranks, right? You closed it out. It's fine. Let's try the next game. You do that sometimes, and I'm not sure what the idea is there. You know that move is launch punishable on hit, right? The down 1-4. I guess Kazuya is not going to launch you. I just don't really get it. You just do not want to use that move at all. Because here's the thing. As you fight stronger opponents, right? And if you make down 1-4 any aspect of your gameplay outside... Like, okay, we talk a lot about Paul's gimmicks and when they're going to come up and blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about incorporating tools into your game plan. I am all in favor of using the entire move list, right? But the thing is, certain moves you only use when you know you're not going to get punished from, when you know the opponent is just not going to do anything about it, right? And so I feel like, think about, okay, so let's look at your overall game plan, right? Course will go back 4, up back 2, course will go back 2, course will go 4, 3. All of those should take up like 80% of your game plan, right? 80% of the time you're playing, 80% of your offense should be built around those tools. Down 1-4, I feel like should be maybe 2% on a good day. It's just not something you want to be doing. Because again, as down 1, as you face more and more opponents with Paul experience, people are going to be ready to fuzzy that, right? They're going to be ready to like automatically low parry. Or heaven forbid they block, right? You risked, this is like, what the fuck is this? Maybe 10 points of damage, maybe 12? You risked your life. You risked 80 points of damage for 12, right? It doesn't happen a lot. It comes up every now and again. I just don't like it. I think you are playing you're dancing with the devil, and it's just not something worth doing. Closing out rounds, whatever. I don't know. I use it to close out rounds. There's a multi-layered mind game there, but using it just in general, I just don't do it. It's a wall combo and it's a round ender. That's it. Got hit. Unfortunate. Nice dodge. Nice. Nice, kill him. That was weird. Oh wait, yeah, he still had screw. Nice. Down 4-2. Unfortunate block. Yeah, that's something I'll talk about in personal opinion, but just yeah, of course I'll go forward 3. Fine. Should have been Death Fist. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like too crazy on whiff punishes because that's just something that'll come with experience, right? But this should have been Death Fist instantly, right? You have plenty of time to see the move he's doing. You just wait and then boom, Death Fist. You move forward. I don't know what that was about, but I don't know. It's fine. Like your movement, yeah, I just feel like your movement is really good, but it's just a little too excessive. You can cut a backdash or a sidestep here and there, and you'll see a lot more opportunities for whiff punishment, right? Unfortunate getting clipped. Good, stop him. was fine. Does he not? He has a death fist punish. I don't know why he didn't do it, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, this round should okay, I need you to watch this, right? Watch this last round and just count how many jabs you do, right? If you can count on a single hand or, two hands how many jabs you do in this entire round, you're not doing enough jabs, right? It can be a bit tricky because, you have to deal with electrics and whatever else, but the disruptive power of a jab is very vital, right? You cannot let this Kazuya feel comfortable in starting his offense at any point. You have to be ready to, like, hey, I'm gonna jab you. You gotta adjust to that, right? A lot of times you are playing a very distant game, but then just fuck with the opponent, right? Everybody talks about the down forward 2 meme, right? Everybody talks about down forward 2. Use jabs. Just whiff jabs. What are they gonna do? Whiff punish you? Whiff punish a minus 17 whiff, right? It's just not gonna happen. But you can utilize that almost as a part of a mental game of just inciting your opponent into action. The more stuff your opponent does, the more opportunities you'll have to punish, right? Also good punish, by the way. Good punish. I think that's launch. I don't know. That's whatever. I don't care. Nice. Use forward. Yeah, bully him, right? You can't. So here, my recommendation, right, is that this situation, the moment you get this hit, sidestep left. Right, sidestep towards the background. So now you've realigned yourself. His back is more to the wall. He can't sidestep, right, effectively still, and you get a little bit better wall positioning. And now if you do sidestep into forward 1+2, you have the mix up, right? From this situation, if you sidestep, you have the threading mix up of, well, fuck, is he gonna do sidestep 3 or forward 1+2, right? Remember, sidestep 3 is godlike because it's unseeable and it's a sidestep. So you can mix it up with literally anything on God's green earth, right? But you achieve, again, it's about maximizing your reward in multitude of factors. So your sidestep is enabling you a sidestep mix-up, and you're getting better positioning on the wall. So you don't have like this awkward sidewall alignment. It doesn't matter now because I think any hit, even just if you get like a shitty wall sidewall combo, you'll kill him. But it's just about building up that habit, right? Just something to consider. So, all right, this is what I'm talking about. All right, so now you got jabs going. You got a lot of pokes. You're just bullying him. And here, right? How often did he block low at all, right? So here, this could have been you do down back 4 a lot to close rounds, which is fine, but this could have been back 4, this could have been sidestep 3, this could have been more jabs, right? Because if in this situation, right, you do 1-2, which is okay, but you're -1, right? If the Kazuya then challenges you with jab, right, he can hit confirm it a flash punch, beating out anything you're gonna do, right? Unless you do, I don't think down 4-2 works. The Mishima jabs are pretty annoying, but at -1 at least, maybe at other frames. But you'd have to risk a high crush option. You'd have to duck against Kazuya, which it can be iffy, but. You're not gonna force him into anything versus if you just kept jabbing him +1 and +1 down forward 1 jab down forward 1, right? Even though Paul doesn't have the standard generic down forward 1, using a jab down forward 1 like game plan is still critical. So it's just something you could have closed out the round a wee bit faster. Nice. Good whiff punish. Pressure him. Good pressure. Okay, so so in that situation, right? It's not the worst thing. So I'm going to talk about 2 things. 1, do you feel like you've conditioned him enough to duck? Why? Right? Has he started flash ducking? Has he started actually ducking any of your course will go forward 3, course will go back 4, or any low or other high option? I just don't feel like you're kind of you're jumping the gun a little bit, right? Your opponent's still at layer 1. They're still just going, I'm just going to stand block. And you're going, oh, I'm going to do my mid that ends my turn. Even with all this good pushback. This pushback I'll also talk about. But now you're going to do this mid that ends your turn for nothing. And when you could have put on more pressure, right? just when you can kind of put on more pressure, you kind of you hang back, you sandbag a little, and I'm not sure why that is. Anyway, and then here, what does he do after? He immediately dashes forward. I'll talk about course circle back 2 in a minute. I think the pushback, I think it's really useful a lot of times. Because of the pushback, your -9 turn doesn't really matter much, and a lot of times the opponents have to dash in and then challenge and then be able to challenge you, right? And honestly, I've just jabbed them because I'll just go course circle back 2. They're going to dash in. I'm going to press jab. They'll run into the jab. And now all of a sudden, a situation where I was -9, my turn was over. I stole back my turn, and now I'm +8, right? With the world is my oyster. Obviously, Demo Man won't work because clean hit, blah, blah, blah. But I immediately flipped a disadvantageous situation into a very advantageous situation, right? Because they ran into my jab. They're not always going to do that. But it just makes them second guess challenging course circle back 2. It serves multiple purposes. I steal back a turn, enabling a little bit more offense to squeeze out as a little bit more offense that I can with Paul, and then also it'll make them second guess. Like, oh, okay, so the next time they block course circle back 2, they'll maybe backdash, or they'll wait a little bit and then challenge, or they'll immediately do like a high crush move, right, which you can then typically block or just backdash away from. So. A lot of layered mind games, but it's food for another day, or discussion for a different day. Nice. Good counter hit. Nice. Why? If he was just a little bit faster. Again, why? Why this? What was the purpose here? Right? Okay, he didn't. Oh, dropped it. Nice. Do it again. Yes, do it again. Yeah, nice. All right. Neutral, punishment / matchup knowledge, combo / Oki, personal opinion stuff. Neutral. Again, I talked a lot about it in the early parts of the video. At some point, oh god, it's already 40 minutes. Your neutral and foundation is solid. I don't think there's any real critical issues to talk about. I just feel like you're not maximizing your potential, right? You have to understand when to create distance between your opponent and when to maintain it, right? Pressure doesn't just come from I'm pressing a button, my opponent is now scared of that button. Pressure can be as simple as just approaching the opponent and forcing them to backdash into a wall, right? You have a lot more options to create pressure and make your opponent's mental stack a lot more fucked than it could be. So experiment more with how can you maintain your position without sacrificing it. You're not going to do yourself any favors if you backdash to the end of the stage when you clearly had the advantage. Don't be afraid to like put on pressure and take more advantage of your turns. Don't just give up your turn right away. It's the safe play, but it's the difference between being kind of passive and assertive, right? If you're passive as a player, it's very low risk, very low commitment, but again, you're not, it's rare for that type of play style to really reap a lot of rewards. You want to be assertive, right? There's a difference between passive and defensive, right? So you don't always have to just kind of be like this, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to commit to anything. There's sometimes where you got to go, all right, I'm going to make these commitments because they'll put on a lot of pressure on you and force a mistake out of you, all right? Other aspects of neutral, more of its personal opinion stuff. I don't think there are any like glaring flaws or critical situations. A lot of the stage awareness stuff I talked about, right? You need to be aware of where you are in the stage and adjust accordingly. Don't just go, oh, I'm just gonna let go of all my pressure. Oh, my opponent got away from the wall. Let me try and pressure him a little bit. Remember that like positioning is very critical, right? If you got a weird, awkward angle at the wall, it's still scary, right? Because now their movement is restricted, but it's a lot less scary than, hey, I'm sidestepping and realigning myself so I get a decent wall spot. So if you whiff something, I'm just going to fucking murder you, right? Very different worlds. Other aspects of neutral. Okay, so this is a bit more personal opinion stuff, but I still believe that you are not jabbing enough. You're not using jabs as the cornerstone of your offense and experimenting with what you can do with jabs and how use it as a disruption tool, use it as an offensive starter, use it as a defensive starter, right? Keep out with jabs and 1-2, right? A lot of potential there, and there's just not enough of it in your gameplay, and it's going to come back to haunt you, right? Using down back 4 as a disruptive option. Don't just use it as a round ender. Use it to disrupt your opponent's offense and make them second guess themselves, right? Other aspects of neutral. Nothing that I can think of at the moment. Punishment / matchup knowledge. Okay, so Kazuya punishment, I'm not going to talk about. I talked about optimizing punishment. Watch a punishment guide, right? Do your homework, whatever. Let's talk about the player matchup for a second. I think you were just giving this guy too much respect. I don't quite understand it, right? You're very passive in your playstyle. You just kind of gave him a lot of ground to work with, and he never did anything. It's not like he was wavoo in front of you, right? He wasn't wave dashing up to you or anything. He just kind of passively took all your pressure, and I felt like you could have gotten a lot more dirty. You get your hands a lot more dirty and put on a lot more pressure than you were, right? Remember, yes, do you want to always run into Kazuya? You have to be afraid of electric. You have to be afraid of down 4-2, keep out, all this other annoying shit. And he technically does have a magic 4, right? But look at the player. Don't just look at the character. Look at the player and what is he doing? This dude who just stand blocks all day, backdashes himself into the wall, doesn't really challenge your approach outside of some occasional, here's my electrics and that's it, right? Could be doing a lot more to pressure the guy and just taking more advantage of what he's not doing. You did not do enough to make him consider ducking, right? And I get it, Paul's primary ways of making him duck involve like Corsical 4-3 and back 4, if you like that. And obviously those are both -13, which he can launch. Obviously a game changer. But that's where Sidestep 3 comes in. Because your movement is so good, I highly recommend you need to incorporate Sidestep 3 into your game plan, right? You sidestep a lot, which I do think you need to tone that down a little bit, but you can mask Sidestep 3 at any point in your game plan and just kind of press this 17 damage plus on hit low, that's -12, right? And all you have to do is what you're already doing. You're moving a lot, you're sidestepping a lot, so that way it's very easy to mask your Sidestep 3 timings. Yes, Sidestep 3 is giga slow. It's like technically 30 frames with everything considered from sidestep. Except, in reality, anything can come from a sidestep. Any mid you want, any high you want, any move you want, you can do it from a sidestep, right? So that's the real strategy behind Sidestep 3, is that it comes from a sidestep and you don't always need to do it. You can just do empty sidestep or a mid. And your movement is solid enough where I feel like you can definitely mess up a lot of people by just moving around here and there, and then, oh, you got a little bit close to me, Sidestep 3, boom. Free +4 for Paul, free damage, 17 damage is very respectable. And on the off chance the opponent fucked up and tried to approach you with the button, you go, cool, I just got a counter hit, back 1-2, right? And then especially at the wall, you want to really start using Sidestep 3 a lot more. Combo / Oki. I thought your combos were great. I don't have any issues with any of them. Your Oki, I think you just need to be more aware of your ground hitting options, and then also disrespect your opponent on wake up, right? If they're gonna do wake up kicks, backdash and then whiff punish them or challenge them with shredders. This dude just always get up low. It's always get up low. It's toe kick, get up low, toe kick, get up low, right? Disrespect them, right? By the end of this set, you should have just been calling him out for his defensive habits, right? It doesn't matter if it's like at the wall combo situation, you're -3 from the typical wall combo, which can be a bit weird, but that's fine because you just go, all right, cool. I'm just gonna shredders and hop kick you. You'll outspeed the mid option and you'll low crush the low option, right? And if it's a toe kick, they're super uber dead, right? Even at -3, you'll low crush it before the move comes out. It is a read, right? It is a big commitment, but you have to get a feel for your timings. I feel like you're not doing enough to maximize your Oki. And Oki isn't just let me do this setup with Paul. A lot of Oki can also just be, okay, I think I have a read, you're going to do a get up kick, I'll just backdash into a whiff punish, right? Like what we talked about at the toe kick situation. Personal opinion stuff, options that I think are neat, but your mileage may vary, right? Use more jabs. I cannot stress this enough. Just watch high-level Paul gameplay, right? Landon, he's this Tekken player on Twitter and in Tekken Zaibatsu. Really strong player, just knows a lot about the game, really good at teaching. He did a session with Paul today, right? He played against some Lars. You can go on his Twitch and find it, like twitch.tv/Landon_D or something, right? And just watch how he uses jabs as a cornerstone of his gameplay. If your playstyle involves a lot of power moves, right, and timing, you don't necessarily need jabs. If you just have a good read on timing, you just press the button at the right time. But jabs make that situation so much easier for Paul, and I think they're a very important part of your gameplay that you wanna really develop, especially as you fight stronger opponents. Paul's strength isn't just, he has a bunch of counter hit launchers, right? It's also, he can just play generic ass Tekken, and that actually comes up a lot, right? Being able to use jabs, being able to use down forward 1, being able to use down back 4, right? A lot of stuff you can do. Use side step 3 a lot more. I already talked about it. I think the low's goated and it's amazing. It's amazing, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. You have the movement to back it up to make it a lot more scary than it normally is, right? Most people are just, I'm going to backdash back and forth, and then I'll sidestep into sidestep 3, and it's super obvious timing. But you have the movement capability. I think you can really maximize the usage of that low. Other aspects. You don't throw like at all, and I definitely think that's to your detriment. Paul has a full throw game, right? And yes, he doesn't have some cheaty throw like giant swing. That doesn't matter, right? The whole thing about Paul is that he has all these options to attack you with, and the opponent has to be aware of all of them. If they're pressuring you and you suddenly jab them and then they get hit and then you throw them, they have to remember that for next time, right? They have to either challenge it, they have to go duck it, and then you just do a mid, right? So many options you can do. And they're all just kind of like, you have to understand like how well they interweave within each other, right? They all supplement one another. If your opponent is blocking a lot, you start throwing them, right? You do it a few times here and there. I think you did it at the wall sometimes, but again, I think you can be throwing your opponent a lot more than you currently are. Especially if your back is to the wall, just fuck it. They run up to you, just do back 1+4, right? Boom. You threw them. Cool. If they break it, they break it. Who cares, right? But it's like you want them to start ducking, right? They want it because that way, they'll be like, I'll launch this person, and then they're ducking in front of Paul, and then you go, ha, and then you do a mid, right? So throws are something I think you should definitely add into your game plan. Again, in the overall grand scheme of things, there needs to be a core aspect of your game plan. I think so. I like his throws a lot, but it's just something that you want to always be pressuring your opponent's mental stack, right? Even if you think, this guy's good at breaking throws, you gotta make them have it at all times, right? I played against like a Tekken God player the other day, and he's really good. His name's like Strike Mist. Really solid player, completely demolished me, right? And he would be breaking every single one of my throws, no matter how hard. I was like, I got him this time, and then he'd just break it. But I never gave up on using those throws because you have to remember to always have that threat available to you. Think of it like Demo Man, right? Are you going to use Demo Man as a primary low? Absolutely not, right? But you'll use it every now and again, right? Like you fucking dashed up Demo Man because you have to make the opponent remember, oh shit, that's right, that exists. And now that's on their mind. So now your opponent's thinking about their jabs. Now they're thinking about throws. Now they're thinking about Demo Man. Now they got to worry about mids. Now they got to worry about Corso go back 4. Now they got to worry about Corso go back 2. As the opponent, like how are you supposed to keep track of all that, right? But if you never use these options, if you just don't use them as much as you should be doing, right, you never have to worry about them. And now your opponent has an easier time defending Paul, which is not what you want. You want them to constantly be second-guessing and be on the lookout for a bunch of other things. And that's how you can influence them. That's how you can condition your opponent. You go, you're not ducking enough. I'm going to use a bunch of lows and throws. Cool. And then you condition them that way. And then you go, you're ducking a lot now. Time to use mids. And then rinse and repeat, right? Other aspects of Paul's gameplay. feel like it's fine. I talked a lot. There's a lot of options I covered, a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. I got out of my way. Let me know if you have any questions. This was just kind of like, I have some time now. Let's watch some Tekken. All right. If this helped in any way, shape, or form, I am happy. If it did not, I'm always open to feedback. Right. Let me know what didn't work out for you. Let me know what you wanted to hear or what you were curious on or what made sense, what didn't. Right. All right, man. Have a good one.